everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Two Idiots podcast. I'm Reg.
I'm Randy.
Joining us this week from, where are you right now, by the way?
I'm in Winnipeg.
You are? Well, we could have done this in person.
That's what I was asking, yeah.
Well, shit. Okay, well, I thought you were on...
I was supposed to be in Winnipeg, though. I was supposed to be in London, but due to the state of the world, I'm here now, so...
Yeah, that'll happen. Well, that's a bit of a... I should have asked. I thought you were on the West Coast. Anyway, regardless, joining us remotely from Winnipeg is Darcy Oake. Welcome here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I'm really choked about that, actually.
Well, yeah, no, that's why I was wondering, because when the emails came through, I was wondering if you guys were in the city or somewhere around. Yeah, I thought it must have been that, but
well, next time we'll have to clarify.
Yep, yeah, slip through the cracks. All right, man. Well,
it was an in-person reunion episode.
Yeah,
there you go. I'm
in. Or we go to London with you, and we'll record on the plane. We'll see. We'll figure it out. So I guess an international illusionist, magician, author, obviously Winnipegger. So I don't know why you're joining us, but I'm glad that you are. So
these are the best. I love doing these things.
Awesome.
Like, especially where it's like, long form, like you can just chat. What's the product? Can you swear on here? What's the protocol?
Giver.
We do whatever, man.
Say whatever you fucking want, buddy.
Yeah, where you can just shoot the shit and just like hang out. It's way better than like doing something where you have to promote something, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where you're like only there because you're promoting something, and it's like you can have a conversation, but then you have to shoehorn in this like thing. It's just like,
yeah, you can always kind of see that when people are doing interviews and when they're like, oh, we have to talk about this, or they're being asked something they really don't want to talk about, and then they're like, well, but I have to.
Something they've answered 30 times already.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of my questions. I was going to get to it later, but I imagine you get asked a lot of the same things while you're doing either media tours or doing interviews and stuff. What's something you wish someone would ask you?
I don't know if there's anything I wish something people would ask me, but the biggest thing is if your job is to interview someone and you have to know something at least. Like, you can't just wing it. And I've been in so many scenarios where it's so clear that the person's just winging the interview and they have done no, not even a quick Google search.
They don't even know who you are. Yeah.
And it's so infuriating, but you need them because they're so it's just so I think I don't necessarily think it's I wish someone would ask me something. I think it's just at least know who you're speaking to, you know?
Mm-hmm. That does.
Or what you're talking about, where it's there's been times where I've done shows in butt fuck nowhere and getting interviewed, or the local paper or whatever.
Like New Boswell.
The show's coming to town, and they'll be like, okay, what's your name and what do you do? And so what's the show? And it's you really? Come on.
Yeah. There's a bare minimum, you would think. You would hope. Clearly there isn't, but you would think that there should be kind of a base level.
What I have learned, though, is it's far more beneficial to just not get angry and just carry the weight of the interview and just do it than try to be it just goes quicker if you're just okay, so here's what you need. Here's the quotes you want. Here's the show.
Yeah, just come to them with a list of questions. Here's what you can ask me, and we're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how about you want to carry the weight on this one too, if you don't mind, while we're here?
Yeah, sure. What do you guys want to talk about?
No. We're a bit more prepared than that. I know that you're in Winnipeg now, so I guess that doesn't show that I was actually prepared. But so I'm curious. We interviewed an Elvis Presley a tribute artist, is what he called himself, and basically calling them impersonators was apparently not that okay. Is it similar?
Oh, he was offended?
Well, no, but he kind of he mentioned it.
In the tribute artist community, impersonator is seen as you're trying to be them, where I think tribute artist is you're, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
To them, they just prefer tribute
artists. It must have been walking that line the whole interview.
The irony is he's also a Johnny Cash tribute artist, so walking the line, there we are. Anyway, but I'm curious, do you refer to yourselves as magicians, illusionists? Is being called a magician a thing?
For a while, I was always the word magician is lame or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Or you would tell someone you're a magician, and they would immediately go, "Oh yeah, what instrument do you play?" And it's no, not musician, magician. then so it was just like for a while I was like, there's just like a weird like connotation with the word magician. Like it's not. No one thinks it's cool. You know what I mean?
Like you're playing birthday parties for a living.
Illusionist. Yeah. And then it's like now I don't care. Now it's all one and the same thing. It's like, you know.
That's fair. It's probably better that way anyway, that it's both. So again, the main story that I saw in multiple interviews and in your Britain's Got Talent thing is basically the fact that Scott Oake, your dad, he held out cards and you drew the card, and he just accidentally had a card trick, that you drew the right, or he guessed the card.
The whole thing is that the whole thing was a total accident. Like he was just like messing around. Like, here, pick one, and I was like, okay. And he's like mixing them up, and he's like, now I'm gonna find it, and he just reached in and pulled one out and was like, boom, and it was my card, and I was like, what no way, like, and then like when it worked, he just like had the willpower to play it off like he meant to do it.
Of course. Right.
So like, for a month, I thought he like, and then what actually happened too was it was like a few weeks later, I asked him to do it again, and so he just goes for it like with no, no idea what he's gonna do. So I pull it out, I look at it, put it back in, and he manages to do it again. But what I didn't see was the second time, like my mom was standing behind me, and she could see it, and she was like, spades or whatever, like that, and then he like pulled it out. So he did it twice, and then that was it for me. Yeah.
To think a whole illustrious career started on an accident.
Yeah, well, but it's funny because it was like both times just like were coincidental, like happened to work.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty funny.
That's the way to do it. It's fate, I guess. If fate, if anything is fateful, that's what that would be.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then basically now you're international, let's say world famous, you're all over the place performing, well, pre-COVID, right? How many years would you say from, I guess, when you really went into it as a profession to now, when I guess you quote unquote made it? How many years were you kind of in the, I don't know, like working the local gigs out in, like we said, New Bothwell before we started recording, doing that type of stuff?
Like I was doing those forever. Like, Christmas was like, I was doing every sort of like, corporate company party or like, or driving to any sort of rural town. So I was doing that forever. And then at that time, my goal was to get on the cruise ships. Cause like the cruise ships were like, you can get like a year-long contract and you're working and you're not hustling for you have a year of work, So I eventually got on the ships and I did that circuit for a few years, which was really cool. Learned a lot from that. That's a totally different like way of life.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but
most of the audiences are like 80.
Looking back on it too, because it's like your only responsibility is the show. And so depending on what like cruise line you're on, it's like you can do you might only be working one night a week.
Yeah.
And the rest you're hanging out. So it's a pretty easy way of life. Your show set and it's all,
Sounds pretty dope. Yeah. Playing shuffleboard with all that.
You're a little stir crazy though. Like but so I was doing the ships, and then I did Britain's Got Talent, and then I started working in London and the UK a lot. So it was kind of one of those things where everything sort of led to the next thing. Literally, I can look back on all of them and be sort of, if I didn't do this one, this person wouldn't have seen this, and I wouldn't have had this email to contact so and so, and da 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 da.
Sure.
So it's crazy looking back on it all that way. I'm sure it's the same with you guys, like with any sort of like working relationships or anything that all stems from somewhere.
Let's say that
back in some way.
And also, now we can look back a year from now, and you'll be able to say, "I was on the Two Idiots podcast, and now I'm exactly where I am as I was before."
I was curious, watching some of your highlights and stuff. What made you choose like Britain's Got Talent over like America's Got Talent, right? Because you would think the audience would be bigger, or was America's Got Talent not around yet?
No, they were. So what happened was Britain's Got Talent reached out and asked me to do it.
Oh, cool.
Because they do that because they're on their 15th season or something now. So they do have like teams of people that are out there finding artists and acts and asking if they want to come and do the show, so they can keep the talent pool out there. But so Britain's Got Talent asked me to do it, and at that time, and it's still kind of the same, but Britain's Got Talent's YouTube channel was so much more powerful than America's Got Talent's.
Oh.
And Britain's Got Talent was the original one. The Got Talent thing started in London and then came to America.
I guess that's why Simon was on it. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so it they asked me, and my train of thought was, well, their YouTube videos, like their popular ones, go around.
Yeah.
I had zero expectation. I was just, I said no to it for probably like 3 months. They reached out and like, nah, you guys could. And I was on the ships, and at the time, I didn't want to. So I was working, so I didn't want to necessarily like jeopardize kind of the tiny bit of momentum that I had.
Yeah, it could be a big risk, right? If you go on and
I could come on there and you could play clown music under my act and make me look like a buffoon. So I don't want to. And then they phoned 3 or 4 times and eventually had said, like, we're not interested in inviting you out here to make you look like an idiot. Like, you can take our word on that. Like, it'll be okay. Like, we're in your corner. We're not tricking you into, but no one had any idea it was going to go that way. I didn't know either. It was fucking insane. Like,
so break it down. You made it to everything I kept reading. It said you made it to the finals, but then I couldn't figure out kind of where you slotted, or I always get their layouts confused.
Yeah, overall, I was like 5th place. I came in, I think.
Nice. Okay. Nice.
But I mean, whatever. It's
whatever.
So was it? You did your audition phase of it. Was it kind of validating when you chose to finally do it? You do your first act. You're pulling the pigeons apart. You're going nuts. I don't know where you got them from.
I think they're doves, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever they were. The birds. You pulled the birds all apart and everything, right? You're doing all your tricks, and then so you take this big risk, and then you have a guy like Simon Cowell, who's world renowned, tell you, I think we got a star in the making here. Is that a very validating thing for you?
It was like validating. It's like I don't even know if validating is enough to like. That was the most fucking surreal, insane thing ever. And even doing it, like I guess I had done sort of that act in theaters that size of in other people's shows and whatever. And but I had never done it in like where there's literally like 4 judges illuminated in front of you, like 10 feet away, where you're just like, oh shit, this is insane. So it was, and I mean, I've been doing that act like since I was a kid, but even leading up to that, I was like rehearsing that like 10 times a day, just nonstop rehearsing. And all I wanted in my mind was like, just please don't buzz me off. Like, just at least, like, I just wanted to do it justice, I just didn't want to look like an idiot. So I had that, like, it was like muscle memory, like clock. Like, I basically zoned out. I remember at the end of it, kind of like it was over. And then like looking, and then like everyone stands up, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, there's even one part in the video, in the YouTube video, you can see at the very end where I like look, and I'm like, and I, for some reason, I guess I say it really low, but I'm like, "Fuck!" and it's still in there. Yeah, I was like, "Oh damn!" Like I wasn't expecting this. Like,
that's amazing.
Zero expectation of that. I just wanted to get more work. I was like, I can do the ships, but like I'd like to do other stuff. And I was like, maybe someone will see this.
Yeah, exposure.
But then it just like changed everything.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, it's even in the video that I watched, you like all the judges had already said yes, and you were very appreciative. But then like the pregnant pause, like waiting for Simon to like say it. You know, it's like you really, really wanted that to hit, and it gave me chills. I'll be honest. It was also. Those lady judges really seem to enjoy you.
It's crazy. Like the UK's nuts though. So like, I don't know. I think they just changed it, but the like Winnipeg Sunshine Girl.
Yeah.
The one in the London paper is topless.
Whoa!
Just like in the paper. I think they just changed it, but their whole like thing with that, with they're looser over there.
Paper. Okay? Yeah, Europe's a bit more loosey goosey with that type of stuff. Which, frankly, that's fine. Give her. Why isn't that a thing here?
Have you been to these types?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you'd love it.
Yeah, as if I need another reason to move over there. And now, now that there might be nudity in the newspaper, that's
the candle on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So then, after that, so then you were also had a guest spot on America's Got Talent, if I read correctly. Was that shortly after?
I was talking about this the other day. It's a little much. It's nothing to be proud of. But I've done, I think it's 7 or 8 different Got Talent things.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's got to a certain point where it's like I don't want to be the Got Talent guy.
Yeah,
for sure.
You know what I mean?
You're like typecast. Yeah, you're just the Got Talent guy. Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Oh, of course. Like in different countries or similar type shows.
So I did the 3 normal Britain's Got Talent show, like the original one.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did a guest spot on America's Got Talent. Then I did America's Got Talent Champions, and then I did 2 spots on Britain's Got Talent Champions. So 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Would quite the resume.
It's enough. 7's enough.
I mean, yeah, that's a lot more Got Talents than you or I have ever done. Nor will we ever. I don't think there's a podcast Got Talent, and I don't know if
sometimes I feel like the uncle in Napoleon Dynamite who can't forget about his high school football days. Right? I have to keep going back.
Make yourself a dang quesadilla.
Yeah.
I could pull 3 doves out of there. Want to see me do it?
Exactly. I've always wondered, I mean, like you said, being a magician has never been quote unquote cool, or at least as far as like Hollywood shows it, or as until recently, most people.
It was always the Chris Angel effect on kind of
probably
Hollywooding of illusionists.
Yeah, and so I can't help but wonder, as a young man growing up, or a teenager, even younger, going through as challenging as school already is, as a magician, was that yet more difficult?
So I could not bring myself to tell anyone in high school. And I feel like I wasn't necessarily wrong. I didn't want to open myself up to being bullied, basically.
Right.
And it was just one of those things where I still think it's super cool, and I know people are like, huh, what?
Yeah.
But just like little things like that I sort of always thought were cool. I knew that if I was, I guess nerdy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're not going to your whole high school, you're like practicing magic,
Yeah.
So I didn't, people would be like, get this kid the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Well, you always see it on TV is like, it's the kid with the tux and the top hat and he's pulling the rabbit out, right? It's all geeky.
Or a cape.
Yeah.
Well, and it's still that association with it. If I had never met someone, they're like, what do you do for a living? And I say, I'm a magician. No one's ever like, oh, no way. Like, where do you perform? Like, what kind of it up? People are usually like, oh, so you do kids parties then, I guess, right? Like, never, so, but I didn't tell anyone through high school. And I was doing shows around town. And my biggest worry was that someone from my high school would know that I was performing at whatever place. That was like my main concern. And it was graduation, grade 12, and the school president knew that I did it, and he knew that I was like serious about it, and I was, and he knew, because I was already working on the doves at that point, so I had the full kind of dove act that I was whipping out, and he was like, "Why don't you just come and do that at this closing assembly?" I'm like, "Fuck it, all right, why not?" And I did it, and I thought this it was the most like. I thought a riot was gonna break out. I went to an all boys Catholic school, so it's like give the kids anything and they'll go nuts. So I come out, the assembly's whipping out birds, and these kids are like, oh my god, like going crazy. And then it was that was like a pivotal moment where I remember thinking like I was so afraid to tell these kids for 4 years that this is what I did. And I did it, and they're all like, you know what I mean? It was cool to be the coolest kid in school for a day when it was 4 years of trying to hide something,
Yeah.
Well, it's the same, like with most things. I've never considered myself a cool guy. I've always been kind of into nerdy things. And I mean, I never really hit it, nor and nor did I ever really care that much about that. I don't think. But when you think about now, if you had embraced it, like with most things, like a lot of kids that they grew up playing video games all the time. Now they're millionaire esport players, or they're writing novels or whatever. It's like the things that we kind of put on ourselves, that it's just like our own sort of boxes that we put ourselves in.
Yeah, don't ever be afraid to just own it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like changing as time goes on. And I think with every generation, where it's like, I feel like we're probably the same. How old are you guys?
30.
Yeah. So I'm 32. So, and I feel that now, like, we're realizing that it's, things that, like, we could make money from this, or we can turn this into something that, like, you never would think you could, from maybe in our parents' generation, like, where the internet wasn't, like...
For sure.
Even, like, to think that, and the like, just as a personal example, like, the whole thing with the birds was something that I just thought was cool and was doing since I was, like, 12.
Yeah.
And then to have that be the thing that turned into this whole thing, it's just, like, it just goes to show, like, that's something people would have looked at and be like, oh, this kid's just got a hobby, like, he's just doing this, it's like whatever. And then it turns into, and that's happening with so many different things now, I feel like. And, like, kids just learning how to game the internet and, like, all this stuff, and, like, make crazy money from, you know what I mean? It's nuts, I feel like.
8-year-olds making $26 million to review toys.
Yeah, it really makes me sad for how much I missed, and like, how far behind the curve I feel sometimes, especially with that type of stuff. Like, the things I really enjoy, I could never monetize now because it's already been done 10 million times, right? Oh, that's wild.
That's why Bird Act is key.
I'm gonna start right now.
Yeah,
start right now.
Yeah.
It's the man for the boys.
Yeah. I want to be really cool, like Darcy, and I'm gonna play with birds in the backyard. Right?
So when you're starting out and you have this spark happens when you're 6 years old, you're starting to learn magic. I can't imagine that the magic community is huge in Winnipeg. Was it hard to find, like, resources to help your skills grow, especially in the time where the internet wasn't super prevalent?
Yeah, it's interesting, actually, because Winnipeg does have a huge community of, like, there's it's called the International Brotherhood of Magicians, which is this.
Okay.
I know. It's a legit thing. I swear, it's cool, guys. Trust me. But it's this whole society of magicians from around the world. There's probably thousands of members. It was started in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And Doug Henning.
Well, it started in Winnipeg. That's cool.
Heard the name. Doug Henning. He's from Winnipeg. Yep. Dean Gunnarsson, the escape artist. He's from Winnipeg. There's a community here. I feel here more so than a lot of places.
Weird.
But the guys in the city were, like, instrumental in being like, oh, this kid is super passionate. Let's
I love
help him out. So there's I think they still do it, but there's, like, a meetup of guys, once a month or whatever. They'll get together and.
Well, I mean,
I know. That's so hard to.
Yeah, just
cool
picture.
Guys.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, wear your sunglasses when you show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, just north of Steinbach, there used to be, like, that's where we both grew up. There used to be a little random magic. It
was like a magic show place in Giroux.
Magical Paradise, it was called, and
that's the one.
So him, you know who Dean Gunnarsson is, then, yeah?
I've heard the name. I don't know of him very well, but
legendary escape artist from Winnipeg, and he had a relationship with the Hornan family, Philip Hornan, and they would do stuff together. Philip got really sick and died of cancer when he was young. I think him and Dean were around the same age. I could be getting this wrong, but I know him and Dean were close. And then when Philip died, his parents lived, like, on that property, so they started this kind of museum thing, and then guys would, donate stuff. It was cool. I've been in there before, and there's history. It closed down now, so they're warehousing all the stuff. There's a lot of historical cool stuff in there.
That's so cool. Yeah, I only saw it because it wasn't your social right across the street from it. Was it your social?
Yes,
no,
but it was already closed by then, I believe.
Yeah. I was just surprised to see it. One of those random curiosities of rural Manitoba that you would never think about. It's just a magic shop. literally not even in a town. It's like a hamlet of 8 people live there or whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. But even then, it's interesting to think that you took your, your passion and your hobby and your thing came from here, basically. Like, and then now look at where you are. I wonder if I blame winter, the fact that there's so many magicians. You have to sit at home a lot, kind of by yourself. Yeah, you may as well just play with cards.
Yeah. But there's a lot of talented people that come out of Winnipeg and Manitoba in lots of areas, and I feel it's like underrated when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Like, there's also a little bit here that do big things, and Winnipeg's always just sort of been like the butt of the joke kind of.
Yeah, flies under the radar for sure.
It really does. Yeah. And we deserve some of that. But one thing I find annoying, I keep hearing all the time on other shows or just in general, when people say even when you're on Britain's Got Talent, like say you're on something from the U.S. and you're like, I'm from San Francisco, California, or whatever. But for every Canadian on anything ever always either has to say, I'm from Steinbach, Manitoba, Canada. Or we can't just, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's either Steinbach, Canada, or one or the other. Like, it's like nobody cares about our provinces enough. I don't know.
Doesn't Winnipeg, matter. Manitoba, Canada. But it's
like we can't just say Winnipeg, Manitoba.
It's like basically by answering it that way, you're saying, I know you have no fucking clue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Speaking of things that kind of annoy me, you lost Britain's Got Talent to, was it 3 musicians or something finished in the top 3 or something? Or 2 of them at least were?
Five guys that sang like Les Mis songs.
Well, at least no bitterness there, eh?
At least they know their audience. But I've always had a gripe with, because we used to watch America's Got Talent quite a bit and those types of shows. I've always hated the fact that singers can compete on America's Got Talent. I realize it's a talent. I understand that people are really good at it and they should be recognized. But there's 200 singing competitions. Why don't you just leave the others for something else?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole they're literally just looking at how do they make an hour of super entertaining, fast-paced television that ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, Les Mis hits the spot. I guess.
A singer on there, they can tug on the heartstrings in a way that
for sure,
whatever can't. So
yeah,
I think they're just trying to make solid TV. It's less about that side of things.
Of course, I get it. Yeah. I get it. I don't have to enjoy it, but I get it.
I do have to ask, how cool was it for you to, I think it was on the finals edition, where you got to do kind of the tribute to your brother.
That was the champions one. So there's a cool story about that. It's so in the first round. So the champions, it was like 50 of the favorite acts from whatever they get together to do. It's like one-off sort of episode,
like an all-star.
And so they were like, we want you to do this big dangerous escape thing. And I was like, I can do that fine. There's different sort of, I don't know, I had a different kind of approach, but they were, this is what we want you to do a version of this that they had seen me do somewhere else. So I said, okay, fine, sure, I can do that. We were working on that whole thing. And they were like clear they wanted that like danger element of it. Like they were, made that clear. That's what they were excited about. So the thing was, so I had already done America's Got Talent Champions at this point, and it was a similar conversation where they wanted me to do this levitation of Heidi Klum. And that was like a back and forth where I had said to them, yeah, we can do this, but it's not really like a closing type bit. It's not like, I've always said that if you go on one of these Got Talent shows, whatever you do has to be a closer. You can't go on there and do like a middle bit that's like, oh, okay, from your show or whatever. You have to they have to be capable of closing a show on its own. And that's what I said. And they were like, no, but like, they were like, we understand what you're saying, but just think of the viral potential of that, illusionist Darcy Oake floats Heidi Klum. Everyone, like my management, everyone was said the same thing. You should do that.
They're basically banking on her name blowing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did it, and it wasn't like, it looked good. The video, like it's cool. They were right, but I didn't necessarily get like fucking rave reviews in the comments because Howie was on the stage for it. So he was like, well, I couldn't see what was happening because I was one of the people in it. And then it was just, but it was weird. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, you're the best fucking illusionist ever. Great. It was just kind of like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
And so after, I was like, I knew that was what it was. This is a middle bit. And this is what I was saying. Like, I should have stuck to my guns kind of thing. Right. So fast forward to Britain's Got Talent champions. They're like, we want this big dangerous thing, da-da-da-da. Yeah, I can do that, but I was just in this situation with America's Got Talent champions where I let them convince me to do something I knew deep down wasn't what I wanted to do on the show. So they're like, no, trust us. This is going to be the danger slot in the whatever, da-da-da, it'll be great. So, okay, great. And it was good. It went really well, got through to the finals. And as soon as we were done taping, everyone's leaving and whatever, and so the finals were going to be a week later. So Simon's walking through the arena. And he comes up and he's like, hey. And I was like, oh, Simon. I was like, hey, honestly, I was like, I'm glad that we're chatting right now. I learned such a valuable lesson from America's Got Talent champions where I let the producers convince me to do something that I knew wasn't right for the show.
Yeah.
And then he looked at me and he was like, the fact that I have people here working for me that think they know better for what you should do than you do, he was like, is ridiculous. He was like, don't let any one of these people convince you that they think they know what you should do. He was like, you know what you should do, and you should do that. He was like, all we want is for these videos to go viral. And he's like, he's like, you know better than anyone. And I was like, say no more. So I had an idea for the tribute to my brother for the finals, and they kept going, and I had pitched it to them. They were like, yeah, okay, that could be cool. And literally, they kept being like, no, but what else do you have that's dangerous? What else do you have that's dangerous? I was like, no, I want to do this. But this was before, like, the actual first episode was taped. So I was worried. I was like, oh, I have to play this game with them, like make them think, like, I'm not going to stick to my guns before we've done the first one,
Yeah.
So do the first one, go through. It's great. I have this conversation with Simon. He's like, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Yeah. I get a call like half an hour later from one of the producers being like, okay, so we know what's going to be great. You got to do something dangerous. It's going to be incredible. You're going to do this big dangerous thing. I'm like, no. I just spoke to Simon half an hour ago, so I'm going to do what I want to do for this one. And they were like, oh, okay. And then I got to do that. So yeah, which I was proud of. I was happy with that. That was like, it was that. The thing about that is like, I feel like that's what it should be in the sense where it's not something you can necessarily judge on it being a good or bad magician. You know what I mean? It's more about everything else. You're not like, this magician sucks. It's like, or he's great. You're like, wow, this guy's telling a story using magic as the sort of vehicle. Yeah, and I think that's why it's gotten such like a bad rap for so long, where people think it's corny or cheesy because it ends up just being about the trick. Like, here, pick a card. Hey, found your card. It's cool, but like it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It doesn't, necessarily touch you on any other level other than just like, oh, that was neat.
Yeah.
But if you can add that like other layer to it, it seems to like resonate more and become,
Well, it should
for sure. Yeah,
especially like your new age style is very fresh and clean and progressive, I guess. In a way that, like you said, it's not just people pulling out cards and then that's done. It's over. It's kind of soulless.
Because anyone can do that. You have to, if you can put heart into the story. That's, to me, like that's what sucked me into that trick. Is it's something I've seen done 100 times, but now like I'm invested now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and I think the whole art form sort of lives in the details and the nuances, and using it for more than to just be like, hey, this is cool, huh?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
ta-da.
And I think, and especially now where you can watch a movie that you're like, I have no fucking idea how they would have made this like look like, like you see impossible stuff a lot now. So it's got to be more than just a cool visual. Like it has to have like layers of the onion,
I love that. Yeah. So is Simon Cowell, is he as gruff as he seems to be, or is that just like a persona?
I don't have a single bad thing to say about him. We have good rapport. Like
maybe he'll be on the show.
Like, I see him at these. No, it's cool. It's cool. Like I love like how because I've done 7 of them, right? So
right.
I've seen them. The last time he kept like giving me one of those, where he'd be like and then he kept me like like, I was like this is good. I like it.
Yeah.
Like I mean we've got a good. He's got. It seems like whenever I see him, he's not. It's not like, hey, good to see you again. Carry on. He's always oh, Dart, like how it's cool. I like it. I'm not saying that to brag at all.
No, you can brag.
Yeah,
you can brag.
Pals.
Yeah. We're good buddies. It's fine. We'll work on scheduling him on the Two Idiots podcast another time. But for now, So I mean, speaking of your brother, I feel like we should mention the Bruce Oake Foundation, which is based in Winnipeg, I believe, and I think they're still funding to build the rehab facility.
Yeah,
I don't know if
it's going to open in March. It's a long-term drug treatment rehab center.
I love that.
50 beds. You can stay there basically as long as it takes you to get clean. So it's not like a 40-day kind of program. So my older brother died from a drug overdose 9 years ago now. So we've been since then raising money and working on opening the center. And it's crazy. We went there for a tour a few days ago, and it's full on. Like it's a unit, this building. It's crazy because we've been working on it for 9 years. So to see it, and it's, from an idea to where it is now with actual studs going up in the walls and a full on real building, it's pretty incredible.
I love that.
That's phenomenal.
Especially in Winnipeg where, drugs and addiction and things are a huge problem. And there's a lot of people that are being left behind or not getting the help that they need or want. So I'm glad to see that I guess it's, being able to use, his death as now, work forward to help a lot of other people, and you can use your platform as well as your dad's and whoever else. That's huge, and that's amazing. Good for our community, and so bravo. I'm glad that that's working. Yeah,
the biggest thing with this too is it's because he was in and out of rehab when he was hard at it. I had tons of times.
Sure.
So like when he was at his cleanest was when he was in a long-term center, which basically you go through the phases where you're slowly sort of reintegrated back into, everyday life. It's not just you're out after a month.
Yeah.
So that was the most effective for him. And he got, I think it was about 2 years sober.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was over a year, but, so it was based on that long-term model. So that was a lot more impactful for him. And I know a lot of people, the whole thing is, you meet a lot of people too in these programs, and it's not like the 40-day programs. There's no support after.
Yeah, for sure.
So you get clean, you get, I guess you're given the tools, but then you're just on your own to, make sense of all of it and figure it all out. So that never worked for him ever. He would just be back out and be like, I can do whatever I want now. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. So some people just aren't ready for it. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Like I said, people definitely check it out. Go to check out the Bruce Oake Foundation. Donate if you can. Help out. Keep an eye on it. But back to our previous thing, I'm curious. What is your favorite illusion to do? Your favorite trick to do? Is there anything you're sick of doing that people keep asking you to do?
It's different now. I feel not having done a show this year.
Yeah.
All of them. I'll do anything.
I'll come over right now and you can show me tricks.
Yeah,
I'm totally in. Right after this, we'll meet up and you can do all the card tricks you want. Blow my mind as much as you want.
But I'd say the birds probably.
Yeah,
because you don't have to. No one can be there, or a million people can be there. It's all. Right. It's cool to see the reactions and not be directly, speaking to someone. So it's like music's playing, it's happening, and you can see it happen real time.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Is there?
Do you have a preference, or do you often mix it up with your shows, where you'll do do you often do a lot of close-up magic in with your shows, or is it a lot of the big theatrical pieces?
It depends. Yeah, it depends on what the show is. But there is, in most shows, a little bit of close-up stuff mixed in. And if that's in a big theatrical setting, then it's with the screens and the cameras and stuff. So, But yeah, it depends on sort of the environment. Everything's kind of, changes or customized to what the scenario is, really.
Sure.
And even if you're on the road doing a tour or something, so even the show then still changes based on the actual specs of the venue and stuff. So
for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference? Do you prefer close up, more sleight of hand, or do you like the bigger set pieces?
I like the bigger stage stuff where there's more of a anticipation for the evening. You're going to an event kind of thing.
Right.
It's different. It's two different things. Because on the other side of the coin, it's, I was just at this party and this guy randomly did insert whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
the David Blaine style.
But I do love the the anticipation of going to a theater to sit down and watch this. Like, you're going to see something impossible. There's something cool in that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a spectacle.
I mean, speaking of David Blaine, do you have like a pretty good relationship with other magicians like him, or you guys kind of adversarial, or is it sort of you don't really interact at all?
Like a community as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a good relationship with him. He because we have a mutual friend, and we ended up hanging out in New York one night, and this was just after Britain's Got Talent.
Oh yeah.
So he had seen it and was impressed with it, and so we were talking, which is cool because he's not one to like throw around sort of compliments or anything.
Sure. Right.
So and he can be very like, when it comes to magicians, like he keeps his cards close to his, like, he's
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not spilling the beans on everything he's doing, and he's
Sure.
not, he keeps his circle, with the guys that he knows and trusts and whatever. So I ended up getting to go over to his studio, and literally the first thing he says, we walk in, he's like, "Hey," he's exactly how he is on TV.
I was gonna say, is he any more animated off camera?
Yeah, no. He's the first thing, he's like, "Hey, yeah, want to drink some tequila?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do!" Yeah. And then we literally just sat around this table, just like drinking tequila. Oh, here, I'll show you this. This is cool. He gave me this. This is all part of the frame. But that's the ice pick that he put through his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just gave it to me. I was like, dude, is that the ice pick from the thing? He's like, yeah, here, you want it? And I was like, yeah.
That's sick.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I want it.
What do you think of his balloon trick, the recent one that he was doing?
He's crazy. Like that's like, it was nuts.
Awesome.
Like, I mean, he's on a different wavelength though. The way, like, how do you, like, that's crazy. How do you pick that up?
It's terrifying. Yeah, even like I listened to him on Joe Rogan as well, and I didn't watch it. I was listening to it, and he got Rogan to put the ice pick through his arm, and I was just like, that's not magic. That just sounds awful.
Yeah.
Like it's just messed up.
But I mean, he's fascinated by that, like, body, type.
Yeah.
Like manipulation.
Stuff where you can put a nail in your nose, all that.
Yeah.
Like, stuff.
It's and all the power to him. That's great.
Yeah.
I also read, I mean, I guess we're running close to the end of the time here, but before we go, I read something that you performed for the royal family. I think it was on your website.
At the Queen's 90th, right?
Queen's 90th birthday, yeah.
Did you meet her? Did you chat with her?
Yeah, I got to meet her. I got to meet all of them except for William and Kate. But the coolest part about the whole thing was, so we do the show, and it was her 90th birthday, but this was her, like, personal family dinner. It wasn't the, like, big public TV thing. Yeah. So it was at Windsor Castle, and so it's 80 members of the royal family, and then all of the staff from the castle, which is like stand at the back of the room. So I was like, it's pretty intimidating.
You talk about nerves for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy who runs the whole thing said to me before, do not change anything you do. Do it how you would normally do it outside of here.
Yeah.
He says, I've seen acts come in here and try to cater to, he's like, do not do that. They die a slow death. Just do it exactly how you do it elsewhere. And
Literally.
I've told the most famous people in the world that have come into this room and he said, I've seen some of them just bomb.
Oh,
like, oh God. What am I walking into?
So no pressure.
Yeah.
So,
then you're done, and she's just like, yes, quite good.
And they're like, someone comes into this room after. It's like, all right, we're gonna take all of the acts to go meet them. I was like, oh, amazing, great. We're walking there, and I asked the guy, I'm pretty sure there's a protocol when you meet. You can't, like, how does this go? I mean, I know you're not supposed to. I know there's rules. He goes, oh yeah, and then rifles off like 10 things you're supposed to do when you meet them. I'm like, whoa! I'm not gonna remember any of this. I guess everyone is your Majesty, and then the Queen is your Royal Highness. But when the Queen comes by, you can't stick out your hand first. You have to wait for her to do it, and then you can do it or something. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. So they're all coming through, and the Queen comes through. You get to meet her, and which is crazy, and Prince Charles, like, it was fucking insane. I'm like, this is nuts. Like, I was been messing around with a bunch of birds since I was a kid, and now I'm like standing here, like, this is crazy. Yeah. So then they're coming through. We do the line, and then Harry comes through with just straight bro. Like, not even, he walks up, he's just like, dude, that was crazy. He's like, that was nuts, man. Like, he's like, I've seen your stuff on YouTube, like, da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh my God, this is nuts. But, yeah, he was, that made the whole thing for me, that he was just a bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just so come through, dude, what up? Like,
oh, God.
Yeah, and then we were chatting for a little bit, and he's like, whatever you do, just don't trash the place tonight, all right? I had to be like, walks off.
That's crazy.
See that vase? That's worth $60 million.
Yeah. We stole that.
Yeah. Windsor Castle, though, is every inch of every single wall is covered in, like, some sort of ancient weapon. I guess that was a big thing where if, like, other world leaders come, you bring, like, some sort of artifact.
Right.
So there's insane stuff in there. Like,
I always get it confused.
Samurai outfit that's just
just chilling, like it's no big deal. Is it? I always get it confused. Buckingham Palace is separate from Windsor Castle. Yes.
Yeah, Buckingham Palace is the one that's central London.
Yeah.
That no, they don't actually live in there.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
the
they
Windsor
used
Castle
to.
is where she actually lives.
Yeah, Buckingham Palace is bananas. We did a tour of that, and they're like, no cameras, no nothing. You got to walk through, and you just try to soak it all in. Apparently, there was like hidden hatches in like some of the rooms connecting to other rooms, and like the royal children would like scurry through the the hatches back in the day, and like there's the blue room and all these different colors. It's crazy. Right. So I can't even imagine actually meeting them. We saw the thrones and stuff with just for ceremonial events and stuff, but. That's great. So, real quick, who were you more nervous to perform for? Queen Elizabeth or Simon Cowell?
They were different, I guess, because I think the Queen thing was, if this is an epic fail, like, no one's ever going to know about it, you know? Because it was one of those things where I was pressing the whole time for that gig, too, to be like, can I tell people about this?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, they were like, you can't say anything. I have a picture with the Queen, which I'm not allowed to, like, ever post anywhere.
What?
It was a whole...
No.
Yeah. And then I got a really cool letter in the mail from Prince Charles that was like, it was super... It was... But I'm not allowed to, like, you know what I mean? Put it out anywhere.
Right,
so, kind of one of those personal things. So, that one, I was nervous for, just because of the stature of who they were, but also, if everything goes horrendously wrong, like, at least it's not a public failure, you know?
Let's be real. Did the Queen lose your shit when you pulled the birds apart?
No, she was pretty, like, she was stone cold the whole time. She was like,
she would have a good game face.
She's seen it all, you know?
Yeah, she's been around for 1,000 years. She doesn't give a shit.
I'm not letting this boy crack me.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, that's amazing. So I don't know. We're basically to the end of our time that we talked about. I feel like we could talk all day, but maybe we'll just have to save some for the next time.
Now that we know you're around from time to time.
Yeah, do it in person.
100%. How about tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow?
I actually might have to go back to London and re-quarantine for 2 weeks. I'm waiting to hear about a potential thing that might happen, and if it does, then I have to go 2 weeks early. So it's like,
okay.
Well, there are worse places to be than 2 weeks in London. It's
for sure.
You could be 2 weeks in New Bothwell.
Because it doesn't matter where you are, though, if you're just locked in a room for 2 weeks,
True.
right?
That's true. But I guess you'll just bring your birds and have some cards. And
yeah, there you go.
Are you always kind of real quick? You always kind of have a deck of cards with you, kind of playing around and stuff to keep it sharp, or?
Yeah, usually, yeah. It depends on what I'm working on or what idea I'm sort of tinkering with. But yeah, I'll usually have a deck around if I'm messing around with something, or I'm trying to. Well, the biggest problem was before I had it was a UK tour in March. Mm-hmm. So we were a week away from starting the UK tour, which was all like basically a brand new hour show, which I had already fleshed out and written and worked and whatever. And then COVID hit. So it's like the whole thing was like, okay, well, yeah, COVID's hit. We're all locked inside. It's a great time to be creative and write and develop new stuff. It's like, I just went through that whole phase for this part, you know?
Right.
Like, now what do I do?
COVID really doesn't give a shit about our feelings, does it?
Not at all.
No, it's real selfish. Anyway, before you go, feel free to plug, I guess, social, not that you feel free to plug it. Not that we have more reach than you do, but throw in, I guess, websites or social media type stuff. Just
Darcy Oake on everything, basically.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll be adding it to the show notes and stuff like that. So, this has been great. Like I said, I was pretty nervous all week, and a small percentage. Well, I don't know if a small percentage, but a decent amount of percentage of myself thought this would not even happen, but it did, and I'm glad. And
you're great. Well, let's do it again. Let's do an in-person one sometime soon.
Absolutely, 100%. For sure. So yeah, I guess if there's anything else we want to talk about, feel free to. Yeah.
I don't know. I've got nothing to promote. I'm not doing a whole lot these days, you know. Just trying to stay positive.
Perfect.
Well, hopefully the UK show works out for you.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Hopefully, I'd like to at least do one thing this year. Would be good. That's my goal. One show this year would be great.
We'll have to schedule Simon Cowell and Harry and maybe the Queen for a future Two Idiots podcast. We'll see.
Yeah, fuck, I hope I haven't just sat here and name dropped this whole time.
No,
no.
I love it. If there's anybody else, feel free. Drop more names. Who else you know?
One time.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been a blast. Honored that you joined us. Appreciate your time.
Hey, nice to meet you guys. Let's do it again soon.
You bet.
For sure. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.
Oh, it's us again.
It's us.
Just us.
That was Darcy Oake.
That was Darcy Oake.
He's a very funny man. Could have been a comedian if he wasn't a magician.
Yeah. Probably helps that he's well versed in everything. That you can tell his showmanship is pretty bang on. Mm-hmm. Even in his shows, right?
For sure, yeah.
Obviously.
He brings like you said before, kind of a fresh energy to it, right?
Joie de vivre or whatever.
Yes. Whatever the French say. The man's got charisma.
He does indeed, and he's a local Winnipeg boy.
Local boy, son. Done good.
Yeah, he gone done good. This was amazing. Like we mentioned, it was a bit nerve-wracking, and
it seems like every time we get someone, we're like, oh, they're super, they're kind of high profile.
Yeah,
here. You know, it's like part of you is always like, is it gonna work though?
Yeah.
Is it actually them?
Especially when you're dealing through an intermediary, like through managers and agents
or publicists or whatever, right?
You're just because I honestly thought we were getting catfished. So I'm glad that we weren't, unless they had a very good deep fake that we just chatted with some random person. I don't know. But definitely check him out. His stuff on YouTube is bananas. And I've always enjoyed magic. I mean, Harry Potter, but not like that, but just just illusions and stuff. But even then, it pisses me off while I'm watching it. Because I'm like, I don't get it. And I'm like, I know you're tricking me. Right. I know you're not magical. I know it's fake somehow.
But you can't see it, right?
But I can't figure it out. And that's the constant cycle. And
for sure.
I love
it. It's ever since I was a kid, it's always fascinated me too. I love sleight of hand card magic. Yep. Like you can make a deck go from scrambled to to straight up and just by snapping your fingers, right? I love all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's always blown my mind. It's something too that always gets kids, right? I love watching kids' reactions to magic because they're just so they can't even comprehend it, right? Like us, we can say, "Yeah, I know you're bullshitting somehow," but them, it's like, like holy shit,
are you God?
Exactly.
No, that's awesome. Well, big shout out to Darcy Oake. Thanks again for joining us. This was one of the best. I hope that we can. I can't believe I didn't even ask. I just, for whatever reason, assumed he wasn't in Winnipeg, or I thought maybe they would ask because they knew where we were. I thought it didn't even
It's okay.
I small-timed ourselves. That's what I did.
Next time.
But it was super personable guy, and be sure to check out Bruce Oake Foundation and the Bruce Oake, I think it's Memorial Recovery Center is what it's called. The Bruce Oake.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's an awesome cause.
Yeah.
Donate what you can if you can donate, and
100%.
Help support again, something Winnipeg really needs is a good long-term care center. So it's happy to help out and get it out there. And
100%. Let's work some magic, folks.
Let's do it. Look at that.
But yeah, so definitely check him out, Darcy Oake, on everything. It's darcyoake.com. Going to
DarcyOake.com.
Go Darcy.
You're playing with the cards, Darcy.
Magic. But no, DarcyOake.com. Darcy Oake on everything, social media wise. If you're looking for us, you're obviously on our YouTube right now, but I hope you are. But definitely check us out. Search Two Idiots Podcast on basically everything except Twitter. It's Two Idiots Show.
Can you go here, and here?
We're going to post it. I don't know.
We'll find out. If not, you're just going to see us pointing at this wall for no reason.
And the listeners won't see any of this.
YouTube rookies, man. Okay, give us a break here.
We're new to it. But definitely check this one out. Send us an email. Where to, Randy?
doubledeedspodcast@gmail.com. Send us suggestions, any comments you have on the show, questions for past guests. Maybe we can get to them. We'll try to help you out the best we can.
Or if you want to join the show.
For sure.
Yeah, and if... we'd love talking to interesting people. That's sort of the thing. Mm-hmm. Or just each other. Just you.
Yeah, we don't care. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
We don't care where you come from, what you do. We just want to know about you, and we want other people to know about you too.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's nice. That's a good place to stop. All right, folks, definitely check out all his stuff whenever his tours resume. If you're in the UK, I imagine you could join that. I hope that he does a Winnipeg tour or like a Canada tour
for sure.
So go get some.
Get those backstage passes.
Backstage passes. Then we'll record in person, hopefully soon. Oh, stupid Rich.
Next time, Rich. Next time.
Anyway, what's done is done. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new to the show, please subscribe, follow, rate, review, all on your podcast apps if that's where you're listening. If you're watching, obviously subscribe.
What do they say? Smash that like button and subscribe.
Smash.
That one. Maybe.
We'll see. On my front head like this. Thank you all. This has been fun.
Thank you very much.
As always.
Appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who comes and watches and listens.
Yeah. And that's Two Idiots are out.
That's the bottom line. Because we said so.
That's all for today.
Bye.
All right, folks. Peace.